Hi, and welcome to the first devlog for my Metroidvania platformer game, Alio. I've been working on it for a few weeks now, and I'm pretty excited about where it's going, so I'm making these videos to show my progress, and maybe even motivate others to start working on games of their own. Since this is my first video, I should probably start with a bit of backstory. I'm Thomas, and I've been using Unity for around 2 years. However, other than a couple of small game jam projects, I've never actually released a full game. That brings me on to Alio. It's going to be a Metroidvania set in a strange, dreamlike world, with lots of surreal characters and locations. The game will centre around figuring out why you are there, and how to escape. In this video, I'm just going to run through everything I've done so far to bring you all up to speed on the project, and then in the next devlog I can start working on some new stuff. The first thing I worked on was the player's movement. I followed a tutorial by Unity, which I'll link in the description, to set up a custom 2D player controller. It changes the default rigid body physics a bit, and I think it makes the platforming feel a lot more precise. The next thing I worked on were some art assets for the little starting area that's been playing in the background. I want this game to have a very simple colour palette, and I'm only really using 2 colours for this starting area, blue and yellow. I'm doing this for a couple of reasons. 1, to make the game look a bit more interesting, and 2, to try and make the foreground elements really pop out the background. I've only really done a lantern, a bench and a tile set so far, but I think it's enough to start to get an idea of what this area is going to look like. The next thing I worked on was the player's design. It's been through a lot of stages, and the first of those was this, which is incredibly simple, and I thought it looked okay, but when I tried to animate it, I just could not get it to look right. It always just looked a little bit off. So I decided to redesign the player. Next, I found this sprite from an old unfinished game that I worked on, and I thought it looked pretty okay. However, when I put it into the game, it just didn't feel right. It looked too big and detailed for the world, so I decided to try again. I just drew random head shapes until I got something that I liked, and then I based the character off that. It looked okay, but I thought it could have fit the game better, so I decided to reiterate on that design a bit, and eventually reached this, which I'm pretty happy with. The last thing I worked on was the combat. I used a few video tutorials to get this done, so all of those will be linked in the description. First, I drew a simple little sprite for a bush-like enemy that's going to roll at the player. Then I implemented a simple attack script, which just makes the attacks follow the player's mouse direction. Then I used IDoZ's video on implementing game feel in Archfail to try and make the attacks feel a bit more impactful. Then I needed some AI, so I used 2 of Blackthornprod's videos on patrolling AI and state machines to write a script that transitions between different states for the enemy, so they can be aggroed if you go too close, and then roll at you, and then have a cooldown, etc, etc. And all of that comes together as this. And with that, that's pretty much everything I've done so far for Alio. The style of this video was a bit different from what the next devlogs are going to be like. They're going to focus more on day by day progression of how the game is going. I just didn't really have the footage to do that kind of thing for this devlog, but next time it should be a bit more like that. So yeah, thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.